I literally cry thinking about how hard it was. I think it's time I share my birth story. The hardest thing I've ever done. It's gonna be a long one, so grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get into it. So I actually ended up having prodromal labor. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically like you're having real contractions, but it ends up going away. It can actually be progressing in prodromal labor, but it ultimately is not leading to the baby. So I had prodromal labor for about 3 or 4 nights total. Remember, it was a Saturday night and I had prodromal labor, contractions every 7 to 10 minutes. I couldn't sleep through them, but they weren't like super painful. I was once again pulling an all-nighter like I did a couple days before. And then Saturday into Sunday morning, I decided I'm still going to go to church. I'm still going to live my life because this could be going on for another week or 2. Sometimes people have prodromal labor for days. Sometimes you'll have it for weeks. You just don't know, and you don't want to stop your life and wait for baby to come if baby's not going to come for another week or 2. So Sunday we go to church. I'm having contractions at church. They're not unbearable, but they're definitely noticeable. Throughout the day, I would have random sporadic contractions. Once again, I could work through them. It wasn't like I needed to like breathe through them, but like I definitely like noticed them for sure. Sunday evening, I started feeling like they were ramping up again. And then Sunday night, they were definitely ramping up. They were like the contractions that I had with my daughter before I went to the hospital. They were coming every like 7 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes-ish, sometimes 12 minutes. And honestly, I didn't track every single one because I was kind of dozing in and out of sleep. I was really exhausted at this point because this was like the 3rd or 4th night that I've not been sleeping at all. Like I'm literally pulling an all-nighter. Rolling into Monday morning, I ended up calling my midwife. I had a 38-week appointment that day anyway. And I was like, listen, I'm pretty sure I'm experiencing early labor contractions. I don't know what's going on, but like they're not going away. And it was morning, but I'm like, they're not going away. So she's like, okay, why don't you come see me like usual, but try to get into the chiropractor. So I packed my daughter into the car and we literally drove to the chiropractor, and I'm literally having contractions on the way there. The difference with this morning is that they were closer together than, Sunday morning. So I knew things were ramping up. So we get to the chiropractor. I'm waiting in the room for my chiropractor to come in, and I'm legit contracting like every 6-7 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, but like it's pretty consistent at this point. I get realigned and then we go have some breakfast together, my daughter and I, because I was planning on dropping her off at my mother-in-law's anyway. Birthing center was about 15-minute drive from me, and I didn't want to have her sitting in a car seat for almost 2 hours for just a midwife appointment. So we had breakfast, and I don't know if that was the greatest idea because literally in the restaurant I'm having contractions and it was pretty uncomfortable, but we managed to have a bit of a breakfast. And I was going to go home, but I ended up just going straight to my mother-in-law's so that I could get into her bathtub. For those of you who don't know, we don't have a bathtub here, so I'm like, if these contractions are not going away in the bathtub, then I'm definitely in early labor for sure. I don't know why I was in such denial. I knew I was in early labor, but like, when you get in the bathtub and you try a bunch of things to make them go away and they're not going away, you're like, okay, it's labor. I hang out in the bathtub for about an hour, and then it was time for me to leave to my midwife appointment. I ended up packing up and leaving, and it's about a 45-minute drive, and I was so uncomfortable on that drive. I had like 7 to 10 contractions, and I get to my midwife appointment. I'm still contracting, and I'm like, can you just check me because I feel like I'm in early labor? And I just want to know if all these contractions that I've been having all these few days have did anything. Or ends up checking me, and I'm 100% effaced and 3 centimeters dilated. And she's like, yeah, I'm not going home tonight. I'm like, what do you mean you're not going home? Like, I don't want you to stay here because of me, because then I feel like if I don't progress, then I feel bad that you had to change your plans because of me. She's like, no, it makes sense for me. It saves me driving time. And I'm just going to hang around here tonight because I think you're going to be back. Me, being someone who listens to all the podcasts that I listen to, and like being taught that you should ignore early labor because things will get intense, and they did. Things will get intense real fast, and you don't want to make a big deal out of those early contractions. So it's just best to go on with your life. So anyway, I leave, and my contractions are now every 5 to 6 minutes apart, and they're definitely ramping up. I get to pick my daughter up, and I'm telling my husband, like, you go on with your work day, just don't worry about me. I'll let you know when I need you. I pick my daughter up, and my mother-in-law is like, why don't you just leave her here? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, she sees me contracting, she's like, you just leave her here. I ended up getting emotional because I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm actually in labor, and baby's coming, today, tomorrow. And I had my daughter at 37 plus 5. And so I was just curious if my body was going to go into labor a little bit earlier this time as well. Now I know that this is just a pattern for my body. So I get home and things start ramping up a bit. I end up getting in the shower for a little bit, and then I end up laying with a heating pad on, and I end up having to work through these contractions. They're like every 5 minutes, every 4 minutes. And midwife calls me and she hears me going through a contraction. She's like, hey, I would suggest you leave in like 30-40 minutes. At first I was like, I don't know. And then I had a few contractions and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go. It's a 15-minute drive, and I didn't know if I was going to progress fast or not. Looking back, I wasn't progressing as fast as I thought I would. They had all of the coping tools. They had a massive tub, and I just had my support team there, so I was just a better place to labor. As we're heading to the birthing center, part of my water break. It wasn't like a ton of water, but it was definitely enough to like soak my pants. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely in labor. I don't know why I'm still in denial at this point when the contractions are starting to hurt and my water is literally breaking. For those who gave birth unmedicated, you know, like it's all a mental game. Get to the birthing center and the tub is already filled up for me and I'm like, thank the Lord. I literally get in it and I'm like laboring in there for like 45 minutes to an hour-ish. They didn't check me or anything. They just let me do my thing. My doula suggested that we go sit backwards on the toilet, which for those of you who don't know, that's the dilation station. That's where your pelvic floor kind of relaxes and it helps to bring baby lower. I sat there for about like 30 minutes, 20 minutes. And then my doula was like, let's go up and down the stairs. Okay. Up and down some stairs to help like bring baby down lower. A decent amount of contractions during that time. And then I think I get back into the pool. I labor in the pool for probably another hour or so. And it's been a few hours and I'm like, okay, I want to be checked. Where am I at? Like how much longer is this going to be? I went into this labor and with no energy. I had no sleep for a few nights. I was already exhausted, but little did I know I had a long road ahead of me. So she checks me and she's like, you're like a 5. And I mean, yes, I was progressing, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm so exhausted. I told my doula, I was like, I cannot do this all night. And she's like, honey, I don't think you're going to be doing it all night. So my doula suggested that we lay on a massage table and do some side lying release positions. I'll put a picture up here of what that looks like. But basically that just helps relax your pelvic floor and you know, it just helps you relax, but it is so uncomfortable going through contractions in this position. I did that for about an hour. I switched sides during that hour. My contractions were every like 2-3 minutes apart, lasting about a minute. I felt like at this point, laying down, I was able to kind of relax through the contractions and regain my mental control. I wasn't yelling, I wasn't screaming, I was definitely breathing harder. Doula was really coaching me on how to regain my breath, how to control my breathing, which is absolutely huge in birth. After about an hour of doing that, I laid for another hour or two. I can't remember, it was kind of foggy, with a peanut ball in between my legs. It was not the most comfortable thing, but I think that's what brought me to about a 7-8-ish centimeters. And at this point, I knew it was a long time since we got there. I actually did not ask what time it was because I didn't want to get even more discouraged because I was so tired. Pretty sure it was about midnight and I got off of that massage table and I went to the toilet and I sat on the toilet for another 6-7 contractions. Just so uncomfortable, but I was just like, okay, I have to do what I have to do. I remember going through those contractions and I was like trying to cry from the amount of pain that I was in. No tears were flowing. After I sat on the toilet for another bit, I decided to go lay on the bed with the peanut ball in between my legs. At this point, it was probably like 1 o'clock a.m. I'm super defeated at this point. I'm literally trying to cry and I can't. I'm begging to be done. I'm begging to go to the hospital. Obviously, they're super used to people asking to go to the hospital. Like, it's a very common thing, but they kept encouraging me and telling me to just take it one contraction at a time. Like, if you're going to look at the big picture and that, like, you're going to have, like, hundreds of contractions, it's going to be hard. But if you're just going to look at the one that's coming and tackle it and try to regain your strength during that time, you're going to be able to do it. My midwife checks me and she's like, I can see your bag bulging. So part of my waters came out, but a lot of my water was still intact. I'm not sure what was going on down there, but I still had a lot of my water. She's like, I can pop your waters. Things are going to get even more intense. And I'm like, it's been intense. But she's like, things are going to get very intense, but it'll progress you faster and get you closer to baby. And at this point, I was like literally not responding to her. Like I had no strength, nothing. I had nothing left to give. I was laying in bed on my right side and she's like, hey, let's switch over to your left side. And I'm like, I don't want to move. I just don't want to move. I'm so tired trying to get sleep in between contractions, but they're every 2 minutes. So you can't really like sleep through those contractions. I just remember like crying and wanting to be done so bad. At this point, when my husband would touch my head, I was just like swatting him away. I'm like, don't touch me. I don't want to be touched. Lay there for another hour or so until I was like, okay, I'm done, I'm ready, let's pop my waters, let's get things going because I want this baby out now. She's like, okay, so we lay in bed, she pops my waters, and this is when things ramp up, guys. Transition is insanity, it's animalistic, you become an animal. At least I did. She pops my waters and she's like, all right, we're getting into business now. Water, she's like, we're gonna do some uncomfortable positions right now. Like, we've been doing uncomfortable positions, but she's like, no, like this is gonna bring your baby down. And it sure did. She put the top of the mattress of the bed away from the bottom. I did 3 contractions with my right leg lifted. I was doing like a deep lunge, and I'll put a picture up here. During these contractions, I started to feel like I need to poop. I'm gonna try to replicate the noise that I was making.